We have arrived, as was foretold by the great Alzara.
If you're here, hopefully you've heard that before.
Yeah, if you haven't heard that, if you don't know what
Leave.
he's talking about,
Leave.
go away.
That's not for you.
So, yeah, we are here to do a, not fully spoilers. We're not going to give away the answers to any puzzles. We're not going to tell you anything specific, but there will probably be things that we'll talk about in this that you'll be like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. If you've beaten blueprints, beaten meaning gotten credits, you've been to room 46. If you have not done that, go away. This is not for you yet. We will welcome you gladly once you're there.
But if you have.
Welcome. We're here with the creator of Blueprints, Tonda Ros.
Hello.
And Jason Wishnov, video game maker extraordinaire.
Hello.
And puzzle game enjoyer.
Yes,
like
true.
myself.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, if you haven't played yet and you're still here for some reason, go watch our other video. We talked about this game in more obscure terms.
You won't get spoiled. It's spoiler free.
Yeah.
But this one
It's not spoiler free.
might have some spoilers
Yeah, there
in
were
it.
a few.
I wanted to start. I'm not going to show you my notes because they are literally riddled with spoilers. But you were curious about my notes. They start on page 9 and go to page 21.
Give them a tiny peek.
Yeah.
It looks like the Grail Diary from Last Crusade with much worse handwriting.
Much worse. I couldn't read a lot of it, I'll be honest.
My handwriting is insane.
It's not great.
No, I love this.
I'm a lefty.
It's honestly eerily close to Charles Manson's handwriting.
Ooh, don't love that.
I don't love that.
Yeah, I don't love that.
I don't love that.
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Okay, so let's talk about this. You get to 46. That is the stated goal of the game. It's
Yes.
like reach room 46.
And everyone watching has done that.
And everyone
Yes.
watching has done that. The credits roll, and I certainly knew I'm not done yet. But
Yeah.
in your experience, you're like, playtesters have stopped there. They're like, I'm done now.
Certainly the playtesters don't because I need more information.
You're like, no, keep
They're
going.
forced to keep
Yeah,
going.
they're forced to
But funnily enough, I do.
Really?
I typically, if I love a game, I will typically stop at credits because I want to leave some more meat on that bone.
Oh, sure.
So I'm like, it's like, I really want my second playthrough to have something else. So definitely don't feel guilty if you want to stop there. But I have seen in this game, particularly maybe because of the threads that are loose.
There are loose threads.
There are so many loose threads, it's insane.
People tend to not do what I do.
I was like, I'm going deeper.
You know, to be fair, I can never know for sure if I would have the willpower to stop, but you're probably going deeper.
I'm 57 hours into the game.
Yeah, I'm
I
probably
believe my
50.
hour count is 57 or 60 or something like that. I haven't checked recently. The rabbit hole keeps going deeper. And just when I think maybe I'm at the bottom now, no, I'm not. It keeps going.
Well,
8 years indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, the 8 years is funny because, like, I think when I first showed people a game, especially when I was previewing it for
They're
press,
like, this took you 8
well,
years.
it's like, yeah, it starts out being like, okay, 8 years, probably part time. I'm like, no, full time, and they're like, well, okay,
All right, you probably restarted
and then
it a bunch of times.
at some point in the process, you will go, oh, okay, I see why it took 8 years.
I see the 8
and then evenally you'll be like, how did you do
this in 8 years? Yeah, like,
that's
should've been
typically
13.
the thing.
Every time we discover some new layer, I don't even know what you would call it, but like,
Yeah.
it's like, and it's really interesting to me the order in which things can happen to different people, because like in my playthrough, I had already figured out just from looking at the photos in every room, the letter differences. And I was like, okay, like, I think the commissary.
Did you find that out with the commissary?
The
clip?
commissary
That's like
was
the
like
most
without
subtle.
with. I was like, okay, and it was like bath bat, and I was like, okay, H.
The
and
classroom got me.
And then I saw the one that the picture that's plan or whatever that has the room on it that has a letter, and I was like, okay, that was a different letter in a different room.
Right.
Because I have a really visual memory.
They're not linked to.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like the letter was accurate to the message. And so I was just like, okay, like I had already written down, except I was doing it just keeping track of all the letters. So I was sitting here
trying
You were
trying to think of anagrams and like
a 44 letter.
44 well, and I didn't
anagram.
know how many letters there
Yeah,
were supposed
true.
to be until I got a study like on day fucking 30. And I was like, oh, and then immediately I was like, oh, okay.
I have seen players that have been able to create words because their first 8 letters had randomly had enough vowels that was possible.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
went to the internet rearrangement server, anagram server.
Oh, I
and
did
Very
that.
likely,
I was
very
doing that
likely.
like crazy.
Very
I was doing that like crazy. And then like later on, I had I was trying to. I was like, okay, this is a Caesar cipher, like a Shift 3 Caesar.
And
cipher.
I was like, you're
And I was
overthinking
like-
it.
And then he was just like, you're overthinking it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm pulling the letters from these pages, and he was like, you're overthinking it. And I'm like, oh fuck, numbers.
Yeah, you're overthinking.
I will say, just in general, that's a good tip.
Don't overthink it.
For anyone continuing, you don't have to overthink it. There's no outside information you'll need about the way systems work or everything. Everything's self-contained in the game, or at least explained in the game. You just haven't found the clues yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ultimate thing for anyone continuing deeper is just like we were just talking about the painting puzzle. There's so many different ways. I just heard Jason say that
It's the classroom,
the
like on the
classroom
chalkboard.
gave
in
you
the
Oh, okay.
classroom.
That's really rare
I had
for
already
someone to
solved the
figure that
entire
out.
message before I saw a classroom.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
like,
it was one of my first outer room
well,
tries.
it,
It was-
along the lines of the password for the network. I had
you
already
haven't found it.
No, I haven't done admin.
You haven't done admin.
I haven't melted the freezer yet. But like the the password for the network I had already figured out.
I didn't know that
from
at
the
all.
magnifying glass.
I had to get the admin key, and then only much later did I learn the original password, and I was like, oh.
Whoa, admin key before password.
Yes,
I've never.
that's
I have-
crazy.
before password.
I have never
Easy.
heard of that.
Admin key before password.
That's
But
it.
like-
I told you your playthrough.
My
is
playthrough's
wild,
weird.
wild.
Jason's weird. Jason's a weirdo.
Yeah.
Because he knows too much and he's not observant.
Oh yeah, I am not an observer. Like I don't like look closely at things.
It
Like
just means you get to like get the big aha moment like way later of
I'm
like
like,
the most
oh,
basic thing ever.
yeah, of course.
I can click on the dartboard.
like literally.
Oh, well, and that was
on the dartboard.
that's what I wanted to talk about. Like why I was prefacing this in this way was like there have been so many moments where it's like I already solved something and then it's literally given to you in a drafting guide
Yep.
or a letter. And like I was like, oh, I'm really glad that I'd already figured that out because otherwise I'd be like, oh, you just told me. But the order it happened in, but you've gotten some times where something told you something and it was like actually
Yes, and that's what I
exciting.
wanted to bring up. The
Yeah.
game actually has a very ingenious method of giving players in-world diegetic hints that progress toward progress. Without giving away too much, in the laboratory, there's some experiment you can set up where you get some additional information. Now, those experiments can be set up to just help you with resources, gems, keys, whatever, gold. But one of them, every once in a while, you can get some information. And I would say half of those letters, or even maybe more than half, I was like, okay, that just confirms something
Yeah.
they already knew. But a couple of them, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. And it was a great, like, in-universe way of getting me to go back to those places and be like, oh my gosh.
And I think that's why I hope the community eventually will start sort of trying to tell people that you don't need walkthroughs because
Yeah.
you do.
the game is in
don't use
itself,
walkthroughs.
It's
The
its own
game,
walkthrough.
the game is a walkthrough.
The game is in itself going to teach you that information
They're-
eventually. And
Yeah.
that was an interesting design thing because part of it is like you will find hints for
Yeah.
things you've already solved.
Yeah.
And then you will find more hints for that thing that you already solved. And then you'll find more and you'll be like, well, I'm glad I did it beforehand. And obviously the people that are struggling on it will be glad they did before. Now, someone, maybe they could have done it on their own and maybe they're like, oh, I didn't need that hint. So my solution to that was just put more stuff in the game.
Right.
So that you can afford to maybe miss out on one or two things that maybe you accidentally, or maybe you could have done it without the hints. And some things like you're talking about, the experiment that can send you hints.
Some info.
Yeah. In a diegetic way.
Yeah.
But you can choose not to engage with that.
Right, you can
choose-
just not do that.
You can choose other experiments in the same way that you can, if you don't like a puzzle, like if you don't like the parlor puzzle, you can just avoid the parlor
avoid
puzzle.
it.
So kind of like part
Unless
of the
you want that trophy.
part of the non-linear way that the game is designed is to allow players to maybe craft their own experience in a way that they can, if they hate math, they can avoid certain rooms.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't love math, and I kind of enjoy the
You need
the
those.
billiard.
Cool.
You need it. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I understand you don't need it, but like an optimal run through usually involves.
Well, there's also an upgrade for
Yes.
for
Yes.
for both billiard and parlor rooms.
That's another really
can make
interesting
them,
point.
Yeah.
That can make them kind of
there's one that
easy.
makes it easier, but there's one that makes the reward better,
Oh,
or another bonus. And I was like, I'm definitely taking
because
the
you
bonus.
upgraded your part. I haven't had either
I
of those
upgraded
in
I
a
upgraded
disc
both.
yet.
I
But
upgraded both.
okay, yeah.
But one of the upgrades is like now it's easier for you.
Yeah,
but I'm like,
neither
I
of-
refuse. I love formal logic Boolean puzzles.
He really does. I really love Clock Tower, by the way. That puzzle, like I was sitting
Clock
there.
Tower puzzle rips.
I was sitting there for a while, and I was just like, like I know I'm missing one thing, and then when I realized what it was, I was like, oh yeah, and then it just solved it.
One of my
Because like I had it
favorite
written out like what it was.
But I want to let me bring up another topic here
Sure.
because I want to talk about this a little bit. I find
this
the
little part. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, this is what I forgot about. I was like, oh shit. It's
Oh,
like, yeah.
I find
very common.
Yeah.
the world building incredibly interesting.
I
And
love that. Yeah.
So it's this, we're not going to go too deep again, but it's this world that like seems to exist on Earth at first, right? It's 1993, I believe, is the year, and we have regular-ish 1993 technology and regular-ish 1993 rooms.
Not quite 90s, but
Yeah,
more like 70s.
Retro
70s,
retro
whatever.
future, yeah.
It's around. It's an old manor. And then, but we learned that like this isn't Earth, this isn't America. These are fictional nations with completely unique and fleshed out like geopolitical backgrounds
Yeah.
and histories. And at first I was like, oh, that's some fun window dressing. And then the farther I got, I'm like, oh, that's not just window dressing. That is a very key component.
Then you learn to read the runes just by looking at them. You're like, oh, fog. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're learning languages that don't exist in this game. Tell me about like what was the inspiration for this world and kind of like what is so appealing to you about that setting, because I find it fairly unique.
I mean, I always like world building. So I think a lot of Blueprints' world was kind of created because even before I knew how much of an active part it was going to be, because in the original in the original design, I maybe wasn't going to go. It wasn't going to be quite as presented to the player, but I always like to build that.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not explaining things,
It makes it feel more real.
It's the same thing in cinema, which is like
Yeah.
the more you can develop outside of your frame, the more believable that world's going to be, and the intention is going to play up, and that's just all the
Yeah.
difference.
Tonda comes from a cinema background.
Yeah, if everything is on screen, if everything you've
Right.
created is shown on screen, then it's just going to feel very flimsy and very
And it's
shallow.
frankly insulting.
So, ouch. So I had just done a lot of world building and creating a lot of the way things work. So I kind of knew that this was going to kind of be a bit of a blend of time periods. It takes place in '93, but it's kind of like 19th century society,
Yeah.
but with like 70s technology and a bit of realistic fantasy
Yeah.
elements mixed in, which of course, if you've only played a bit of the game, you're not going to necessarily see all that, which
Right, what are
I
you
think
talking
is
about?
which I think is cool, because I love the way the game progressively builds onto each other, and
Oh,
the
for
story is very drip fed in a slow way, and the order that people find these elements that kind of piece them into the world or the story of the people in the house is different because of the order
For
that they
sure,
solve things,
for
the order
sure.
that they find things, and each piece kind of changes sort of the lensing of everything,
Right.
Which is could lead to dramatically different interpretations of the world and the story because of the order that you found the pieces is different.
Well, and it's also just like, the story is like the beating heart of the whole thing, and like I think it's a necessary element of games like this. Outer Wilds, Myst, whatever.
it
Like
context.
you need, and it gives it
Dunny,
weight and
Dunny,
emotional.
Dunny.
Exactly, for sure. Like, it's like there are novels about that shit. It's like outside of the game entirely, but like so much of the story is also just so like resonant right now, like.
Yeah.
And I don't know how early in the process you had
It
all
was-
that stuff about
yeah.
fascism, but
Yeah, there's a lot
I was
in
like,
there.
oh shit, this hits.
Yeah, I would say like I'm kind of a believer of death of the author. Like I don't necessarily
words
want to
speak for
like
itself.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to necessarily tell people what the intention is, other than I will say that was created a long time.
I know. I mean, it's so baked in. Well, and also like you were saying before with the hints that you can get through that lab, like I love the way those are presented because it's so in world, and it is part of like building out these other characters in the scope like you were talking about, and it just makes me feel like nice. I got one the other day where I was just like, There's no real information. I was just like, this is just really nice.
Randolph, man.
He was like, I don't think you'd be mad at me for doing this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
Did you write all of the content in the game? There's I really enjoyed the Curse of the Black Bridge.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I
like
really
that one,
enjoyed
yeah.
that. A little like a vignette.
Thank you.
It was a really enjoyable
Yeah, I did
one.
I'm scared that the watchers who have just rolled credits.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bookstore. You can buy books.
Hopefully they've checked out and
Well,
they'll
we're not
be
gonna
like,
say
we'll be
anything
back.
specific.
We'll be back
It's
again.
just a fun
We'll be
story.
back
There's
again.
nothing
I,
But yeah.
Well, and it was funny because he was like, how are you getting the library so much? And I was like, reading Nook, baby.
I
And
didn't
he was
upgrade
like, and he was
that.
like, I didn't do that one. And I was like, sucks to me.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not getting the library.
Because I was like, I've bought every book.
I
bought,
was like, how?
When it was funny
You didn't
because
respect. You didn't respect the lore.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't. That's on
You
me.
went for the resources.
I went for the
That's the strategy player versus
strategy
the
versus-
mystery.
yeah.
I love them
Exactly.
all. I just wanted to optimize my obtaining of.
What'd you get? Key? Plus
I got
one
key,
key.
yeah.
Plus one key.
yeah.
Weak.
Well, but it's
Two
the,
keys is big.
But it's the smarter long term
But with the break room though,
Okay.
combo.
Okay.
I'm traveling
Break
north
room?
fast. Traveling
Fucking
north
Christ,
real
I haven't-
fast.
I don't think I've even seen the fucking break room.
Yeah,
What
you
the
wouldn't.
fuck- What the fuck? Well, it was funny though with the way information is doled out and like player choice and like the variety that's possible, especially upgrading each room. Like it just spreads out and like the way we both approach the library is like I saved up and I bought from the top down. So like
I went from-
I'm on
yeah.
day 50 whatever and I just read the 2 drafting guides and I was like, no shit. I was like, most of it I was like, yeah, I figured all this out already, but like there was a thing with a fucking candlestick that I was just like, this is earth shattering.
Yeah, for
like,
me, those were my first purchases because I didn't have any money. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll buy those.
And I had a thing that was
I
giving
had
me
a thing
30 a
that
day,
gave-
you know
yeah.
what I'm talking about. But like
I didn't
the
have that yet.
and like I've noted like that's what I love about this game and like the title is a hint at it just right off at first blush because it's a double entendre, you know, and it's like things that yeah. And it has like multiple meanings and like that's why I never delete any photos. I take notes of everything
know.
because I'm like this only seems to mean 2 things right now, but it could mean 6.
I deleted photos because I was trying to make it more like everything more immediately accessible, and then I have to come crawling back to Isla, and I'm
Yeah.
like, Isla, what was that thing again? I deleted the photo. I'm
RL,
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. The it's just god damn it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
This game is so good.
We're fans.
Ah.
What can we say? We're fans.
What else?
Well, all right. Let me ask you this. Obviously, people are discovering these secrets. Either they don't discover them, or they discover them in wildly out of order sequences.
Yeah.
With being vague,
That's assuming there is an order.
yeah, there's probably
Right.
right, exactly.
The order is
But
there.
I
is
get
no
what
order.
you're saying.
Like, is there, and be as vague as possible, is there one thing that you hope everyone finds? Like, what do you want? Like, you're like, this is so cool. It'd be such a shame if they didn't.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
No?
I think
Do you think it's all great?
it's cooler to find something that's absolutely amazing that you're like, I could have missed this.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
that moment of stumbling onto something and be like, this is like one of the coolest things in the game. Like, how is this so far
Hidden
hidden?
away.
I feel like you don't get that in a lot of games because they want to put all their best stuff up front.
Yeah.
And so it's
You have to hold yourself
It's a
back.
gamble if you
It's-
want
yeah.
the game to be super popular because you're like, well, we want it to be as cool as possible up front. But for me, I wanted the game to be simple. And if you're playing and you've beaten it, you might notice that when you first beginning, you're like, okay, cool.
I get it.
There's a puzzle in the billiard room. There's a puzzle in the parlor room. I really thought there'd be more puzzles in this game.
Right.
And I just love that because it's like, as long as they keep playing, like they're gonna be
Filling up a notebook.
continually.
Yeah.
Their expectations are gonna be continually turned over, and I feel like that's what I love in games. I love to be surprised. I love when things are cool. So I think that when you unlock something and you expect it to be something small, like maybe a resource reward or something, and it ends up being, like a massive departure of and changes a lot of the way that you're seeing
Yeah.
the game. I had some of these ideas. It's like, okay, this is what do I want to do here, and it's like, if it's a cool idea, I'm going to do it. And some of those ideas cost me years
Yeah.
to do, and
And there's still no guarantee that anyone's going to look at them, like
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
individual player.
yeah,
I mean,
no, yeah, exactly. You might miss it, and but that's why I put in so much so that everyone will find something.
It's like that tree in Dark Souls or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? There's like a tree, you go in, and there's a whole area down there.
I think you're referring to Firelink Shrine, I guess.
I don't know. That's you're.
You're talking about Ash Lake.
Yeah, Ash Lake. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not really a super From Software person.
And I feel like that's the same thing in the first 7 days of your game, where everyone will probably make one big sort of breakthrough discovery in that first 7 days, but that discovery is different, and we had to put enough of those in there so that everyone kind of stumbles onto something.
Get one, yeah.
Just to give you a hint that there's more to this game than maybe just the surface level strategy elements.
Yeah, I think that. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think the way that, like, the way things are enticing in this game is very well done. Where it's like, I mean, the easiest example is walking outside for the first time and looking around, and you're like, okay, there's a gate here, can't get over there. Looking over the edge of the thing, and you're like, there are fucking arches in the side of this cliff.
still
Like,
confused
what's
by
the
that.
deal with it? You've been there.
No, but not. There's farther ones. Anyway.
Yeah, whatever. But then, like, you know, there are payoffs, and then there are payoffs within the payoffs, and like, because these are all things that were seeded in like your first week in game, it like the payoff is just so massive.
Yeah.
And because there are enough of them.
Hopefully you've forgotten some of
Right,
it
exactly.
before that. So
exactly.
yeah.
And like there are multiple threads to pull on, like you're saying, to solve certain problems, like the way that you find the network password or the thing for like how to get into the orchard, like might differ from somebody else, and like that makes it feel really personal. Like all the revelations feel like revelations because
But that's what makes
it's
you
your
want to
order.
keep going, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like if I find that one revelation, it's almost certainly not the one that Isla got. If I were to say something directly, which we kind of knew we shouldn't do that, but if I were just a casual player and I was like, yo, did you find this crazy thing? I would be like, what the hell is that? And that gives you that first clue of like, okay, how much is in this game?
Yep.
And that's that draw to keep
It's
on going.
crazy.
It goes so
Well,
deep.
and I think that's part of it is I wanted there to be enough so that if you got spoiled on something, it wouldn't be a big deal. Like we're like the game can handle you getting.
Yeah, Tonda
majorly-
did accidentally lightly spoil something for me the other day, and I was like, whatever, it's fine. There's so
I mean,
much.
you've got me looking at the backs of chairs and being like, that looks really similar to Blackwater.
You should probably be doing that.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, and I actually do wonder if I've noticed a couple of things because I use a mouse that you haven't found, like drawing room, because you're using a controller. Like, I wonder if there's that kind of
There was one
disparity,
thing
too.
that I had. Okay,
I don't think there's a fundamental difference between.
Okay.
between
Yeah,
the two.
I would just say if you are on a small, I'm playing on the Steam Deck, which is relevant here. Don't be afraid to use that Steam plus L1 combo, so we'll zoom in on the Steam
yeah.
Deck.
Oh,
and there
yeah.
actually is something in the game, magnifying glass, that will make sure that you can see everything on a page, even if they're like, you know, it's kind of small. I would say it's a pretty, like, I haven't felt like I've been missing out on anything on the Steam Deck.
Yep.
I've been like, long story, I've been kind of couch surfing for a little bit. I just moved into my place, and only now am I putting it like in my Steam Deck dock, and I'm seeing it on a big screen, and I'm like, oh wow, this game's really pretty.
It's a beautiful game.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game, but I've just been playing it on the deck like the whole time prior to like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's detail rich, but hopefully, like
Yeah, I'm
everything.
solving stuff. Don't,
There was a
hopefully
thing in a
the,
book that you had missed.
but I didn't have a magnifying glass there, and I just, it's fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of purposeful small text.
Oh, for
obviously.
sure.
Yeah.
Magnifying glass was crazy because like when I found that on the day like 30. It had just never shown up for me.
I didn't get the wrench till like forever.
Yeah,
I had never
but,
even
like,
seen it.
He had gotten a magnifying glass on day like 2.
Yeah, like
And he was like,
I
"Oh,
walked
are
into
you-
the parlor and it was just sitting there. I'm like, oh,
Are you
cool.
looking at stuff? And I was like, what? I was like, and then it cracked everything. It was probably earlier than it was probably pre-20.
It
but
cracks
like,
a lot.
Yeah. My day 20 run was like insane.
Right. I think everyone will have that one day that feels like the greatest confluence
And
of
hopefully-
mathematical probability.
And hopefully that will make up for all the days that,
That are scuffed.
ended abruptly on
Yeah.
southward
Yeah,
turning.
you were one
uh,
step short.
Rooms.
When you
I had-
only
yeah.
pulled games, doors
I had a
that
harrowing.
go
I
into
told
a
you about
wall.
my harrowing experience where I was on the last possible step, and there was big risk involved, and I said, I'm going for it, and it paid off. But oh man, it was risky.
Yeah, it takes a
Yeah.
long time till you realize like steps are a resource that you can be pretty liberal with.
You can be
loose
and
with.
Yeah.
You can go down pretty low and pull yourself back up.
Oh, yeah.
Even without any.
I've had runs where I've gone down to 10 and then wound up back at 80 or something, and like, yeah, no problem. Is there, and you don't have to answer this, but like, I've found myself wondering as I went through the game. Day 20 is a good example of this, because in the commissary there's a thing that says like there's a sale on days 20 and 21 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, okay, that's a definitive thing where it's like this day has an edge. Are there kind of like morale boosters built in on certain days like that? Like, are there certain things gated or like more likely on a day or?
No. I mean, if it's not totally telegraphed, like the Maid's Day sale in the commissary, and there might be a couple other things that you might find information that something happens on a specific day, but not really, because everyone's
that one was cute.
Fun.
That one, the mood war was cute.
But the reason it can't really be that, because everyone's experience is so different. So if something only happens on day 16, you don't find out about it till day 20.
Would suck.
Yeah. So not really. And in terms of morale boosters, I don't know if you mean like does the game progressively
just like did you put the sale on day 20 and 21 to just be like, hey, like, here's something to shoot for. Here's like, maybe you had a couple of shitty runs in the teens.
Oh.
And like, here's a boost.
Maybe get a sauna on day 19.
Just because my day 20 was like so epic, which I think is a coincidence, but like, I was like, is this because? Like,
no, I like the idea of room values shifting depending on circumstance. So you might have a watering can. Suddenly, green rooms are so much more enticing. Yeah. And so that's kind of cool of like, it rewards you if you took note that the maid's sale is going on. Right. And then if you see a commissary, the value of commissary is a lot higher on that day. Yeah. And I think that adds variety to days. That's kind of built in anyway, where I didn't really need to do a lot of that in terms of the day thing, because as the more systems and mechanics got in, you're already going to have so much variety and the values shifting between rooms because of what you're specifically trying to accomplish on that day. And your goals are always changing as you're working on different things. And so those values will naturally shift.
That's something I love about the experience of playing this game, where it's like you can start a day being like, okay, I'm going to try to furnace freezer, whatever. And like pretty quickly in the day, you're like,
that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Plan B.
I'm focusing on dead ends now. Like, whatever. Like, you know, and like the other rooms kind of like, especially if you do West Path first in a day, like it kind of can inform what you want to maybe focus on. And I really appreciate that, because it keeps the game so alive. I mean, we're 50 plus hours in and like, I feel like we've just scratched the surface, you know, and like
I don't feel that way. I feel like I've gone pretty deep.
I mean, we're pretty deep, but like
I feel like I'm
the fact that
there's a few people watching that know the truth.
The mind keeps going, and it's just like, God damn it! Like,
yeah, but there's more. Is what I'm saying.
I'm so happy.
I am far, but there's more.
Oh yeah, I
keep telling Isla to get this like one thing, this like late game thing. I'm like, Isla, you gotta get it. It unlocks. I
don't know what it does, but I know I need to. I mean, I already wanted to get it, but crazy. Like, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Congrats! This game is just so. It's just exactly what I was hoping it would be when I first played it at Gamescom.
Yeah, you were like, it's my favorite game at Gamescom. I was like, from what you've seen, I'm not sure you should. I'm not sure you should think that, but you are right.
Yeah, you're right for the wrong reason.
And then after I heard you say that, I was like, the next time I was like, I should just tell her, like, you can get your hopes up.
Go for it.
I mean, I am glad to not be let down by something in this wretched life for once.
You would be anticipated for something.
Our friendship is great. We're wonderful. Everything's great. It's I don't know. What a pleasure. I feel like literally we could talk about this for hours and hours, but it's really hot in here.
It is hot in here.
I don't know what's happening with our AC.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Normally it's freezing in here.
Studio lights.
Yeah,
we probably drafted a furnace nearby.
We drafted a furnace nearby. Yeah,
makes sense. Checks out.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. Anything else you wanted to say, or you wanted to say?
Yeah. Anything for the crowd that maybe has gotten
anything
to
46? To pitch? I hear you have a game that came out.
April 10th, but this
will be after that.
Way after April 10th. So hope you're having fun.
Yeah. Cool. Now we're gonna keep talking, but about specifics.
Yeah, the camera's not rolling. We gotta cut the camera. Yeah. You can't talk about that.
I'm just gonna call you up now.
What's up with this?
I'm not gonna. All right. Thank you so much, Tonda. Thank you, Jason. Thank you everyone for watching. Play Blueprints. It's God tier.
Do it.
Oh my lord, it's so good. Thank you. I'm not trying to like gas you up. I don't know.
I am. This is great.
I don't care
Gas
about
this man
most
up.
games, you know? So when there's one every 3 years that happens and I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm like, oh, that makes for a change. Like, hey, here we go. No shade on that for every other game.
Every other game in
Never mind,
existence.
that
Yeah.
came out
Okay.
weird,
Cool.
but whatever. Good. The good find bad system.
Pikmin 4 was pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
UFO 50.
Oh yeah, let's
50
go.
is
We can
so
talk about
tight.
UFO 50.
All right, this is now
I've
a
got
UFO
21
50
cherries.
spoiler
Let's
card.
go.
You have 21 fucking cherries.
21 cherries,
God damn, you're like that ska band.
UFO 50 is in my top 5.
UFO 50.
Oh, UFO
rips.
50 is so good.
Yeah. Party
Holy
House.
shit. Party House,
Party House
dude.
rips.
I love Party House.
Yeah, that's sick.
Anyways, thank you everybody. Patreon.com/EasyAllies. Check it out. Get blueprints. If you watch this video and you don't already have
you should
blueprints,
have it.
shame on you. Shame
They
on
were just
you.
curious.
You're curious. We didn't really spoil that much.
We spoiled the minimum amount.
Honestly, don't feel bad because you are going to probably forget this.
Yeah.
And like all the details because like this probably mostly sounds like random gibberish.
Yeah, we sound insane. If you
It's
haven't
like-
played the game, we sound
It's
like
like
psychopaths.
hearing people talk about a Souls game when you don't. If you
Yeah,
don't know
like
what
me,
they're-
like me. I don't know what you guys talking about. Some Ash.
Ash
thing.
Lake.
Ash
yeah.
Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a treasure chest in a tree, and then there's an illusory wall behind that
See,
treasure
I
chest.
probably would have forgotten the details, but now you're like going into detail.
But then in that room, there's another treasure chest behind the illusory wall, and then there's another illusory wall behind that, and then that leads to two new areas.
Like
That they're just like, we don't care if you don't see this.
Cool.
There's a whole covenant.
Hopefully, I'll
behind
forget that in a couple months when I finally get.
Dark Souls 1 is
the
20
stone
years old.
temples.
When I finally start playing games again.
that. Yeah, he's been abstaining from games similar to Blueprints.
Which is both strategy and puzzle games, but my strategy embargo lifted.
Oh, okay.
So I played
hit.
Slay the Spire was
Oh, hell yeah,
because I basically had avoided all sort of roguelike deck builder things because I think we started because all my inspiration came from board games, like almost
Yeah.
It
almost
feels like
almost
Dominion or what?
Dominion and Ascension.
Okay, yeah.
Primarily, and obviously Magic the Gathering in terms of
Splendor.
drafting.
Yeah.
I felt Splendor, but maybe that was
type of
Gems.
card games.
And there's some tile drafting,
There's some
like
tile
Betrayal on the
drafting,
House on the Hill,
yeah.
Mansions of Madness.
Labyrinth
whatever.
was
Fuck yeah, Labyrinth, dude.
the Labyrinth was like one of the core.
I love that game. I had that as a
things.
kid. I love that.
Yeah, like honestly, like I was trying to make shifting rooms work very early, like sliding, like a
Oh.
row sliding,
Like a
and
number
it was just
puzzle.
like it was the biggest technical nightmare, and it didn't work. Like what happens to the room on the outside? So it's
Logistically.
like the
yeah.
movie Cube.
Like Cube.
Oh, Cube.
I've been trying not to mention Cube this
Senzo
entire
Natali?
time.
Yeah.
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 I met him one time. He was pretty
Cube
nice.
rules.
Yeah, Cube is what we are. The purpose of the cube.
Yeah.
We are.
Cube 2 Hypercube.
Cube
It's
2
okay.
Hypercube. Cube Zero.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I like the practicality of Cube Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a bad
Grounded.
movie, but like but it's doing cooler stuff than Hypercube.
I have a very like niche soft spot for low budget, high concept sci-fi movies like
Primer?
Coherence, like Primer, like yeah.
Coherence is great.
Coherence. Have you seen Coherence?
of course, yeah.
Yeah, love Coherence.
That's like a Valley staple.
Oh yeah.
Value stable. We're
Like,
just rambling now. We're
Fast
just
of
talking about
Night,
movies.
like check it out. Anyways,
Moving to a film podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, come on my film podcast. But the I'm just jealous that you get to play Outer Wilds and Talos Principle and Lorelei and the Laser Eyes and all this stuff now.
Yeah. If we could
gonna be
erase our
sick.
memories, we would.
Yeah.
Well, you
Get the
ethics
expansion
questions.
for Outer Wilds
Yeah, yeah.
first. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for this bizarre rambling video. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.